Hey, bonjour. Your notes today are on idiomatic expressions or idioms. D'accord? So, the first thing you'll want to do is understand what an idiom is. An idiom is an expression or a set of words that has a specific meaning to it, a set meaning that speakers understand. And if you were to take those individual words and pull them apart, you wouldn't necessarily gather that same meaning. So, for example, when I say it's raining cats and dogs, very traditional example, you understand that I mean it's raining heavily, right? However, someone who's not familiar with that expression, they're hearing it's raining cats and dogs, pulling it apart. They're like, "What do you mean?" Cool. I like to think of it as when you translate it across languages, it doesn't make sense. Or it doesn't make a ton of sense. You might be able to figure it out, but it's something that does not translate across languages. So that's another way I like to think of it that you could write down. It doesn't translate across languages. A very example that you learned very early on is j'ai 14 ans. This is idiomatic because it doesn't translate word for word into English. If a French person were to come here and speak just by translating every single word and say, ah, yes, I have 14 years, you would be thinking, doing what? Or you might get it because of your background in French, but it's an idiom. The words, one by one, don't make sense to you. You don't process it. Likewise, in English, I am 14 years old. If you were to say that word for word in French, they wouldn't get it because it's an idiom in English. D'accord? Je suis 14 ans vieux. French people would be like, what are you talking about? Qu'est-ce que c'est? What is that? D'accord? So, you may have memorized this, and it is a good strategy to do so, as I have 14 years. If you've been saying it to yourself in your head that way, that's good. That's a good strategy. It's a valid strategy. It's actually called interlang. D'accord? Interlang, inter means between, and lang, languages. It's when you take a step between the two languages, the one you speak and the one you're learning, and you memorize something in the middle that helps you get to the final destination. So j'ai 14 ans, I have 14 years. I have 14 years, it's not what we say in English. That's a step between French and English. You use that to bridge the two languages, to web them together in your brain. And that's completely valid to do so. And in fact, highly encouraged, especially for these notes. Cool? And memorizing these expressions. So let's look at some of the expressions that we have here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say the expression in French so that you can repeat it. I'm going to give the literal translation as well as the not literal translation, what it actually means, what a French person gathers it to mean. And I'm going to give it an example. Maybe not necessarily in that order, but when I give the example, you can also practice your French pronunciation and repeat after me. D'accord? So the first expression is avoir l'air de, to look like. D'accord? And it's literally to have the air of. So if I want to say I look like my father, I would say j'ai l'air de mon père. D'accord? I have the air of my father. D'accord? Look at the second expression. This is a very important one. In fact, please star it. It's the expression avoir besoin de, to need. It is literally to have need of. D'accord? And this one I'm going to spend a little bit more time explaining just because it's the most important one. If you want to say I need a pencil, for example, in French, you might say je and think, what's the word for to need? Well, there is none. D'accord? You have to use the whole expression here. This is how you're going to say to need. Kind of a bummer because to need is such a it's a word we need. It's a word we need to express ourselves. So it's kind of frustrating for us as English speakers that we have it as one verb that we just drop in. And in French, you have to use the expression to have need of. So let's go back to I need a pencil. You're going to say j'ai besoin d'un stylo. I have need of a pencil. J'ai besoin d'un stylo. D'accord? Next expression. Avoir envie de. I like to think of this as to be in the mood for. D'accord? And the reason why is because we have several meanings for to feel like. So I'm going to cross that out and say it means to want or to be in the mood for. It's the word envie means urge, craving, or yearning. So it's literally to have urge of. I should say of instead of for. So if I want to say I feel like some cake, I would say j'ai envie du gâteau. I have urge of the cake. Or I have craving of the cake. I have yearning of the cake. You can remember that one because envie looks like envy. And if you envy somebody, you want what they have. Next one, avoir honte de. The word honte literally means to shame, and this is how you say to be embarrassed of or for. So it's literally to have shame of. And if you want to say I'm ashamed of something or I'm embarrassed of something, let's say I'm embarrassed about my actions. J'ai honte de mes actions. J'ai honte de mes actions. Next one, avoir peur de. This is how you say to be afraid of, and the word peur literally means fear, so to have fear of. If I want to say I'm afraid of ants, which I am, j'ai peur des fourmis. Likewise, j'ai peur des serpents. I'm afraid of snakes. I have fear of snakes. J'ai peur des araignées. I'm afraid of spiders. I have fear of spiders. Next actually 5 expressions I added one, are ones I believe you all learned in the junior high. So I'm going to go through them very relatively quickly. They all mean to feel, like it's a feeling that you have. So you don't say, I am hot, like you do in English. You say, I have heat. It's a little bit bizarre, but for French people, you're not hot. You're not cold. You just feel that way. So they decided they're going to use the expression avoir, that you have heat, for whatever reason, to express those feelings. So avoir chaud, to feel hot, to have heat. If you want to say, I feel hot, j'ai chaud, I have heat. Next one, avoir faim, to feel hungry, literally to have hunger. La faim is hunger. J'ai faim, I'm hungry. Next one, avoir froid, to feel cold, literally to have cold or coldness. J'ai froid, I'm cold. Literally, I have cold. Next one might be new, I'm not sure. Avoir sommeil. It looks like the word soleil, but it's sommeil. And I like to remember to feel sleepy because it's not, when the soleil is down, you have sommeil instead. And the word sommeil means sleep or sleepiness. It can also mean drowsiness. So to say I'm sleepy or I feel sleepy, j'ai sommeil, I have drowsiness or I have sleepiness. Next one, avoir soif. Avoir soif, to feel thirsty, literally to have thirst. Le soif is thirst. So I'm thirsty, j'ai soif. I have thirst. Next one, avoir raison, to be right and to be wrong. I like that French people don't have a way to say that you're objectively right or you're objectively wrong, but rather you have reason and you have fault. So avoir raison is to be right or to have reason, literally. If you want to say, I'm right, j'ai raison. Avoir tort is to be wrong, literally to have wrong or wrongdoing, fault or harm. Tort is kind of a weird word. It can mean a lot of things. If you want to say, I'm wrong, j'ai tort. I have wrongdoing or I have fault. Next one. To be lucky, avoir de la chance. La chance is obviously luck, so it's to have good luck. So if you want to say, I'm lucky, j'ai de la chance. I have of the luck. All right, next 3 use être, and I believe you also learned all these last year. So if you want to say to be on time, you say être à l'heure, literally to be on the hour. So you want to say, I'm on time, je suis à l'heure. I am on the hour, or at the hour, to the hour. It's not the word on the way we think of it. It is the word at, so don't let that throw you off. I guess I could have said to be at the hour since it is the word ah. Next one, être en retard, to be late. And this means to be in delay. So the word retard, un retard is a delay. So if you want to say I'm late, je suis en retard. I am in delay. Next one is être en avance, This is how you say to be early, and literally to be in advance. D'accord? Je suis en avance. I am in advance. D'accord? Last one uses faire, and it's faire attention à, to pay attention to. Literally to do attention at, or to make attention to. D'accord? So if you want to say, I'm paying attention to you, you could say, let's say, I'm paying attention to the teacher. Je fais attention au prof. I make attention to the teacher. D'accord? All right, so that is all of them. Let's look at the back and what you have to do. First, you're going to translate these ones. D'accord? So if you'd like to translate them with the literal translation or with the English translation, like what we would say, that can be up to you. So long as you remember what they mean, I'm happy. So either use English or use Interlang. Either one is fine. Cool. For the practice, it's a little bit more complicated, but this is what you're going to see on your quiz. It requires you reading the context and choosing both the right expression and conjugating the verb. So the first thing you want to do is understand the context of what is being said. So you have la température est de 35 degrés Celsius. The temperature is 35 degrees Celsius. Now remember, 30 is hot, 20 is nice, teens are cool, and 0 is ice. So is 30 degrees Celsius hot? Yes, it's very hot. Well, it's hot. It's super like you'd go to the beach. So it's hot. You want to say we are hot or we have heat. Nous avons chaud. D'accord? That is what you're doing in this section. Now, there's only 12 of these, and I believe there's more than 12 expressions, although I'm not going to go back and count. So you're not going to use every one, but go back and look at your expressions and figure out what's it going to be. D'accord? So that's it for these notes. Hopefully you've learned a new strategy or learned that you've been using a valid strategy all along, and I will see you guys next week. So merci beaucoup.